How to Tackle Disrespect Galaxy Today Show, Westwood. The things I, like every human being, face in life and their corresponding challenges, one common challenge, and one that I find deeply upsetting, is disrespect. I often deal with difficult, disrespectful people. We all struggle with various forms of disrespect in our everyday life, but if I taught you a bit by ancient Stoicism philosophy, would that change the way you go about it? In this video, I cure my anger with ancient philosophy. The Stoics claim that while dealing with disrespect, there are practical ways to help us cope. So I invite you, as always, challenge. Try staying with me until the end. To begin with, one of the most powerful lessons that Stoics impart is the value of staying calm. So, keep calm. The Stoical attitude towards calm is, we are not destroyed, but rather disturbed by what happens to us. Once we self-analyze, what were we thinking about that particular incident? This applies to disrespect, in this case, insult, as Stoics claim that it's not inherently harmful or offend. It is our judgment of it makes us the angry hate feeling. In short, you have no disrespect from every single person you come across on the world. What should encapsulate your morals, Aletheia behavior? This encourages you to stay calm and not be bothered by the negligence of others. 2. Exercise self-examination. Self-reflection and self-examination are other important aspects of Stoicism. The Stoics used to claim that our thoughts dictate the life we live, and that we must improve ourselves and our deeds as much as possible. As said Marcus Aurelius, your happiness strongly relates to the quality of thoughts you have. When you encounter disrespect, it is important to think about yourself in a way like, what is it that person has said or done that makes me feel this way? What action or statement did I make in this situation that warrants such a response? What answer can I give that will preserve my honor and reply to the question with the virtue of my values? That way, you would have a constructive approach to the respectful reflection, enabling you to understand the event better and to grasp your contribution to it. Self-reflection is a Stoic measure to ensure that your reasoning does not rely on one's emotions, thereby guaranteeing rational judgment. It makes you wiser and helps you to grow as a person and put the pieces together. 3. Practice and learn to have a pause. When faced with an unexpected emergency, observe the people around you. At first they will appear as though time has come to a standstill, and finally they will resume their normal pace. There is your measured moment. Seneca remarked, "Take heed. Anger isn't only a current problem, but a problem which strengthens an already existing bad habit." For the Stoics, self-control was a virtue. They claimed that intense emotions such as deep frustration and anger often elicit action that is counterproductive to one's self-interest. Their philosophy asks how to avoid snapping when met with disrespect. A Stoic will tell you to avoid the knee-jerk response and rather take a moment to breathe. This deep breath helps you regain control of your emotional machinery and, more importantly, the opportunity to respond thoughtfully. If one has the inclination to pause before acting, he is likely to respond to the issue of disrespect in a way that emulates wisdom and self-control, attributes common to a Stoic. Pausing often leads to committed, courteous rather than destructive, hostile reactions from disrespectful imbeciles. The strategy of stopping to think helps the Stoic maintain emotional self-control in the face of contempt, which leads to better results and growth. 4. Make effort to consider the ideas of others. Powerful Stoics like Epictetus once said, "Look for not in the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." Stoics view personal interactions as opportunities for growth. and relational motives as reasons for concern. Empathy can be literally transformed into a complete different worldview. Try to picture it in this way. When someone shows uninformed disrespect towards you, Stoicism hints that there is a bigger issue at bay. Lack of respect can stem from one's own insecurities, fears, and even gaps in understanding. Empathy implores the compassion necessary to frame the proper helplessness in such matters. Responding poorly can sometimes be recidented and, rather sadly, lead to more hostile interactions. Or one can approach from a calmer, compassionate basis to abandon the need to resort to emotionally charged personas. Instead, by practicing the stated Stoic advancement, can generate the proper level of compassion towards a person that inspires negative emotions. Not take should enable not taking their words or actions personally, grant access to use the former, and respond in a far more beneficial way that leads to dignity being kept intact. Hence, approaching blame with a different accept enables capture of internal vehemence. Rather than losing with helpless rage underneath, rather than becoming furious or insulted, the option to act graciously is available. The result obtained by an antagonist stuns him or her and raises the prospect of reigning internal animosity. Pouring fuels that sets off the fire to escalate the ratio between the C-afflict and self-respect aid to capture the willingness of refraining from fight. Once again, negative words scattered enables capture the frame in one of Stoic principles. In short, wisdom, compassion, and an unforgiving rejection allows blaming and roaring, while time having control of a complex manner of a situation. The integration of all these viewpoints encourages growing self-control. Being disrespectful towards you can be coped with in a more positive manner through practicing empathy. Now that I'm a bit further into the video, consider yourself an exception at this point. Knowing how strong you are, let us strive together to make it to the end of the video. 5. Focus on virtue. One of the key points of Stoicism is the creation of virtues like courage and wisdom. Those are the qualities which are helpful for us to exist and act properly. A well-known Stoic philosopher, Seneca, said that virtue is nothing else but right reason. What this implies is that virtue, along with other rational actions, is adhering to the natural order of things. According to Stoics, virtue is the highest good attainable in life. All else is indifferent. In the face of neglect from others, Stoicism teaches us to focus on virtue for our response. This does not suggest that we often have to ignore the disrespect directed towards us, but instead indicates that we need to respond with our principles and values that reflect Stoic teachings. With virtue as the focus, avoiding being swept by human emotion is possible, allowing one to maintain their self-respect and evolve. Stoicism is useful because it inspires us to be the best versions of ourselves in even the most challenging of circumstances. 6. Embrace acceptance. My favorite teachings of Stoics is that respect is earned, not given, and thus beyond our control. Epictetus was right to say, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." In this case, we must not focus on what we lack, rather focus on what we have. Stoicism teaches us the most important lesson of all, distinguishing what can be controlled versus what cannot, referred to as the Stoic dichotomy of control. Measurable events like the thoughts or feelings or actions of another person are beyond our control, as are their actions. And since we cannot resolve the root of the anger, we must resolve the anger itself. In instances of deterrence, we have some control over our perception of disrespect and whether or not it should be granted. When granted, we cannot resolve the anger it brings instead, surrender, and accept the action for what it is. Doing so gives us room to focus on what can be controlled, oneself. Avoiding disrespect with Stoicism helps us not feel unnecessary anger, frustration, or resentment. We can also choose to make the experience a learning opportunity for that eventual personal growth. This enables us to manage disrespect in a logical and composed manner. 7. Use humor. Sometimes laughter is the best medicine. As Seneca, the philosopher, put it, "You have conquered yourself if you know how to deal with what you shouldn't take seriously." So, Stoicism teaches rational emotions and actions, and also emphasizes the need of humor for coping with challenging situations. Disrespect can stir up so much anger in a person, but managing humor can keep one composed. Instead of disrespecting a person back, we can choose to cleverly mock the insults or, even better, make jokes about the whole scenario. Humor should not be used when it is unfit or too frequently, but rather as a Stoic characteristic to deal with insults and alter them to have a more pleasant outcome. 8. Define terms. Stoicism is certainly not about being passive. It is being the boulder that sits solidly on and is unmoved by disrespect and violence, a rock who understands its value and elicits respect from its surroundings, who exercises control over what it can and is ready to loosen its grip on what it can't. Anytime someone insults you, you don't need to absorb unclad, utter disrespect. You don't have to go on a rage-filled rampage. You may choose to stay comfortable while still exhibiting authority. You can correct them on their behavior, for which you may say, "This is how I would like to be treated, and treated my expectations are." Defend yourself with reasonable boundaries to retain your self-respect and dignity. This is what Stoicism is teaching us. It teaches us to be strong, just, courageous, and able to help others and self. To teach us how to control ourselves while having respect for others. How to keep constant control of oneself while upholding one's dignity at any moment. 9. That you are capable of choosing to forgive. If somebody disrespects you, what you do? Do you scream in a rage? Or would you just simply forget about it? Some wisdom comes from ancient philosophy, Stoicism. Stoics believe through forgiving others you are giving yourself the opportunity to gain something. It is the mechanism towards attaining an individual's inner peace, true happiness and contentment, but can be very difficult. Forgiving does not equate to forgetting or approving what transpired, and it certainly is not easy. Stoicism presents remitting violence to oneself without remorse as an objective. This involves accepting that certain emotions are more damaging to us than to anyone else. Logic dictates that forgiving all, but not without exercising restraint and showing wisdom, especially exercising a canny and benevolent heart, is necessary. Logic also teaches us that there are two categories of factors, the ones you can control and the ones you can neither control nor influence in any manner. Others do not come under our power even in the least, but how we respond and what feelings we decide to act on is totally up to us. We can opt to forgive and dispose of rage and resentment. We can purposefully choose to go in tranquility and serenity. That is the forgiveness that Stoicism talks about. It defies expectations in that it does not yield, and furthermore does not suggest weakness or submission. Forgiveness alternatively allows you to grow and gain something instead. Ultimatum forgiveness allows one to care for oneself and promote together personal growth. Moving aside to the first point of change, that is a perspective shift. One's perspective determines their ability to decouple from viewing objects and events sequentially in a cause-effect relationship. Instead of reacting out of anger when someone disrespects you, It helps you understand the bigger picture, one where disrespectful actions weigh little against life. Marcus Aurelius said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." Also, he was a Stoic. Whenever a situation gets out of hand, almost every case of disrespect can be reasoned to be inconsequential. Such situations do not sabotage your self-worth or happiness. Moreover, sometimes your perception of disrespect is merely a product of your arrogance or your insecurities or weaknesses. Choose to value forgiving, learning, or ignoring to valuable over being bothered. Perspective is crucial in determining what matters most in life, your goals, values, and virtues. You can choose to pursue what is meaningful for you instead of wasting energy on hatred and revenge. Doing so will make your life more fulfilling and peaceful. Next time you get disrespected, remember to think about using perspective wisely and focusing on your values. Avoiding emotion suppression in lieu of emotion control is the foundation of Stoicism. Use these 10 principles to deepen the practice of perspective shifting. In confronting rudeness, you could choose to be approachable and relaxed at the same time. If you would like to assist us in aiding more people looking for ancient lore, please give us a thumbs up. And if you are new, subscribe and ring the notification bell for more lessons on ancient wisdom. Thank you for your viewship, and see you in our other sessions. So that you can watch more videos on Stoic wisdom, just choose whatever from the selection that would pop up on your screen. Remain Stoic.